Sup guys, Tearless here inside the Halls of Valor, ready to bring you another overview of a brand new, or not a brand new, but one of the specializations inside World of Warcraft Legion. We are looking at the Fury Warrior. Um, the Halls of Valor is indeed the Warrior class order hall, and so we will take a look at what Fury Warrior brings in World of Warcraft Legion. Now, as I mentioned in my very first video, we will be splitting this up into two parts. First, we will have the part dealing with abilities and the new artifact weapons that you will be getting as a Fury Warrior. And then in the second video, we will be looking at PvE talents and PvP talents and how those have changed for Fury Warrior. But in this video, I'm going to be first looking at removed abilities, then changed abilities, and then new abilities for Warrior. I'm going in that order specifically so you can see what has been stripped away from your specialization, and then you can see how things have changed and improved and how your playstyle will be different. And then at the very end, we will go into the artifact weapons and we will take a look at the talent tree for that. Now, as far as Fury Warriors are concerned, I would say the biggest change that you're going to notice in Fury Warriors is that what you're used to generating or spending rage is going to be flipped or removed. It's going to just be a little bit backwards from what it used to be. So things are changing in that way. You're going to have a different order on how you actually attack. Things that were originally massive damage and cost rage may now all of a sudden generate rage, and so things will be flipped just like that. First, looking into the removed abilities, Battle Stance and Defensive Stance have both been removed from the game. Blizzard kind of just wants to get rid of the stances altogether, and so the stancing you will no longer see anymore. Die by the Sword is now arms only. It has been removed for Fury. Hamstring as well is now only arms only, so it has been removed from Fury Warriors. Commanding Shout, everything that was kind of tied to Commanding Shout in name has been removed. However, the Commanding Shout name will still live on. I will get into that into changed abilities, but Commanding Shout's ability, as you guys know it in Warlords of Draenor, is gone. Recklessness has been removed, as well as Shield Barrier. Spell Reflection is now Protection Warrior only, and then Victory Rush is now Arms and Prot only. Do not worry, I believe in the talent section we'll be able to go over this, but there are some ways to get some health back, some pretty nice ways to get health back as a Fury Warrior in compensation for not having Victory Rush. Now, Wild Strike, one of the newest additions to Fury Warrior, I believe came in Warlords of Draenor, has already been removed, so they have removed it. And then the other three removals from Fury Warrior are Crazed Berserker, Cruelty, and Inspiring Presence. So Fury Warrior has lost a lot, and I have a very simple action bar, and it's going to be a common theme throughout all the specializations in Warlords of Draenor. However, I have noticed one thing in Warlords of Draenor. While they have gotten rid of a lot of abilities, I have taken into account that the old style of playing in World of Warcraft was you had a lot of abilities, and you had to have a priority system as to which one came first. Because you had so many abilities that dealt damage, but there were certain abilities that were better at dealing damage. In Legion, a lot of the abilities interact with one another, and that's the real major change. Is it kind of lowers the skill floor for the specialization or class, but at the same time it really raises the roof on the skill ceiling. So you're going to find some people out there, like a lot more people are going to be able to play Fury Warrior, but at the same time, there's going to be some incredibly good Fury Warriors, and it really kind of brings the skill level up a little bit with all of these abilities interacting with each other. So, going into the changed abilities, the first one I want to talk about is Heroic Leap before we go into the others. Heroic Leap has had its range increased from 25 to 40 yards. but its cooldown has been increased from 30 seconds to 40 seconds. I can't remember if that's what it originally was. It was maybe like 40 seconds or something, but now it is 45 seconds, got a 15-second increase. The biggest thing about Heroic Leap though now is that it has a max range to how far it can go out. So, I mean, if I were to sit here in a circle, in fact, this is a perfect circle I can use right here. This can only go as far as 40 yards, no matter what. It no longer will show up as red unless it's somewhere that you can't jump to, which I think it tried to over on that statue over there, but it can only reach out this far. So even if I push the cursor all the way to the top of the screen, this is as far as it will go, which is a little bit of a change. Before, you kind of had to really pin your cursor in the right place to get max range on your jump. That's no longer the case. You can just rip your cursor to the top of the screen and then fire it off, and that's how you can use Heroic Leap there. I think it's a really nice quality of life improvement, especially when you're trying to get max range on that ability. So going into the other changed abilities, first you should know that Berserker Rage has had its cooldown increased by 30 seconds. So still pretty much the same, it just has a 1-minute cooldown now. I'm going to go ahead and use it just so you can see. Pretty nice. And then the next ability that has been changed is Bloodthirst. Now Bloodthirst has had an increase in the health that it actually restores. So it now restores 5% of your health instead of 1%. And a little bit of a nerf though is that the extra crit chance has been removed. It used to have that small extra crit chance. And that has been removed now. It is now just straight up generates 10 rage, but it will restore 5% of your health. I can't attack these for too long because these are tanking training dummies, and they will absolutely destroy me. Is that a Raiders? Oh, it's just Raiders, so I can use it. Oh my gosh! They didn't put the message on that one. That is a tanking dummy as well. So, the other regular dummies are across the way there. I don't think there are any on the other side, so that's the ones that we will use. So, the next ability that has been changed is Charge, and the only thing that really changed about this is the visual effect, and I want to show it to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and use it here, and we're just going to charge it, and you can see I'm going to like thrust in my shoulder into the target as I reach the target, shove my shoulder in, and then that's that. So, pretty nice ability to, nice little visuals you have, and the sound effects have been upgraded across the board for all of the basically all the classes, but you really do notice it on Fury, which is really nice. The next ability that has changed is Rallying Cry. It's been renamed Commanding Shout. So that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about Commanding Shout, how its ability is gone, but the name is still there. So everything that you remember about Rallying Cry, it's now part of Commanding Shout. I'll use it now. You can see a little bit nicer spell visual and how it does. You'll notice that Blizzard made no expense at increasing the spell visuals in this game, and that is why the kind of system requirements for Legion have gone up, is because they've gone a lot flashier with their spells and sound effects and everything, and that's something that I honestly really enjoy, considering I have a computer that can handle it. The next change is Execute. Execute now only costs 25 rage, down from 30, so a small buff there. Raging Blow is one of the major changes. Raging Blow will no longer cost 10 rage, and it will generate 5 rage instead. Do you know that it is still only usable when enraged, so it's kind of the ability that you want to use when you're enraged, but now you're going to be generating 5 rage instead of expending 10 rage. So this is where things kind of change. Before you were using Raging Blow, to dump rage a little bit, and now that's no longer going to be the case. You're going to be generating rage, and you're going to be given new ways to dump that rage. The next ability that has changed has been Whirlwind. Whirlwind has had its rage cost reduced to 10 from 30, so a 20 reduction in rage cost. It no longer interacts with Raging Blow, and instead it's going to interact with Bloodthirst. So, gonna just pull up the tooltip here so you can see. It unleashes a whirlwind of steel, striking all enemies within 8 yards for 54,000 physical damage. So that's still basically the same. But then the next part causes your next Bloodthirst to strike up to 4 additional targets and generate 3 rage for each extra target hit. So, technically, with the 10 rage that's generated from Bloodthirst, you also have the 3 additional rage for the 4 targets that you could possibly have. So you have 22 rage coming out of a single Bloodthirst, which is kind of nice to have. Other than that, I mean, Bloodthirst is still basically the same, except for it can be buffed big time through that. Now, I will say, I did forget to mention that Bloodthirst did have its cooldown increased by 0.2 seconds. I'm not sure where that comes from. I know it's base 4 seconds on live, and it's 4.2 seconds here. It may be higher because it's green right now, and I'm not quite sure where the reduction in Bloodthirst cooldown come from. But for right now, it says 4.2 on here, and that's what I'm going by. So just want to kind of clear that up, that there is a very, very tiny change in the cooldown of Bloodthirst. So the one thing I need to show you is Whirlwind and what it looks like. So I'm using Bloodthirst here so you can kind of see, you know, how these abilities sound. You can even hear the sound effects of the regular auto attacks, and then this Whirlwind's going to sound amazing. So, and it looks amazing too. So you can see the new visual effect of Whirlwind and how that looks. It just looks amazing. It's really cool. I really do like what they've done with the new effects in the game. So that is the new Whirlwind. The last changed ability is Enrage. This is one of your passives. And Enrage no longer increases damage, it no longer activates Berserker Rage, and it no longer generates Rage. Instead, it will increase your attack speed by 100%, but it increases the damage you take by 30%. So, it is basically a Berserker Rage in name, so to say, when you think about it. When you think about a Berserker, you're going to be doing a lot more damage, but you're going to be taking more damage. So you have to be careful with it. But don't worry, there's generally enough ways for you to heal yourself to make sure that you don't take too much damage through Enrage. So those are the changed abilities for a Fury Warrior. The next thing I need to talk about are the 3 new abilities, yes, only 3 new abilities that have come to a Fury Warrior in World of Warcraft Legion. The first is Battle Cry, which is down here. Let loose the Battle Cry, granting 100% increased critical strike chance for 5 seconds. Now it actually has a 1-minute cooldown, however I believe there is an ability that we will get to in our artifact weapons that reduces its cooldown by 10 seconds. So I'll go ahead and use it here, so you can see what it looks like. Pretty cool. And having an increased crit chance on your Bloodthirst is important nowadays. So that was definitely a nice thing to have, and the reason why is you'll see in these next 2 abilities. So the next ability is Furious Slash, which aggressively strike with your offhand weapon for 51,000 physical damage, increasing your Bloodthirst critical strike chance by 15% until it deals a critical strike, stacking up to 6 times, so you can get it all the way up to 90%, which makes it very effective. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it here. It's just a quick slash across, really nice visual, and you can see in the top right hand corner the stacks keep building up and will build up, and then I'll use it on I have what, 75% chance now, and then there we go, it was burned right there. So that brings us to the last ability, which is Rampage. Costs 85 range, and it enrages you and unleashes a series of 5 brutal strikes over 2 seconds for a total of 153,000 damage. So this is your major rage dump, and it's going to deal a lot of damage. And when you think about it, Whirlwind costs almost no rage, Furious Slash costs no rage whatsoever. It's a build up to make your Bloodthirst more powerful. Bloodthirst generates rage, and then I have a talent that can make Whirlwind cost no rage, but you build it up, but this is really the ability that you want right here, is Rampage. So I'll go ahead and use it. You can see, you just start trucking through your opponent right there. And there is a buff, I believe, in the in your artifact weapon that gives it a really cool a buff that goes with it that makes it even more powerful. But with the changes to Fury Warrior, you're basically going to be running off of all of these procs, trying to get your Bloodthirst to crit up. I have a talent that allows my Whirlwind to be free, and then you're trying to build up for that Rampage. That is the main thing that you're trying to do, is build up for that Rampage, that massive burst damage, and then you have healing through other means in the Fury Warrior. That is how Fury Warrior has changed in in World of Warcraft Legion. So definitely a big change. I'm enjoying it. I know that warriors out there are preferring Fury over Arms. Many are preferring Prot over both of those, but that may be because the balancing hasn't really come in. For the most part, abilities are set in stone. However, do expect for some changes to the numbers probably to come through. Because right now, there's no denying that DPS is kind of squishy compared to tanks that can kind of laugh their way through battlegrounds at the moment. So, I don't believe Piercing Hallows changed. Let me check real quick. Um, Still the same. There we go. It's a nice visual now. An even bigger visual now. I know that Execute has barely changed at all, so you shouldn't notice much difference there in how Execute operates. But that is, all of the changes that come to a Fury Warrior in this expansion. The last thing that I need to go over is going to be the Artifact Weapon. Or the Artifact Weapons, excuse me. The War Swords of the Valahar. So this is it, and you will start right here. This is Odin's Fury, and I didn't get a chance to show this, so let me go ahead and show this right here. Basically, unleash the fiery power of Odin, bestowing the War Swords, dealing 94,000 fire damage and an additional 22,000 fire damage over 4 seconds to all enemies within 20 yards. So if I go over here, I can even hit this target over here. And it should be able to hit both of them. You can see, yes, he's taking dot damage now from that. So this is where you start on the talent tree, and when you first get your artifact weapon at the beginning, level 100, you're going to start here, and they're going to bring you into this first thirst for battle. And then you're going to kind of build your way up through the talent tree. Now the kind of epic portraits are the big changes, and then the other stuff is like the old talent tree. It's going to be very minor changes, like this so-and-so has been buffed by certain damage, and so it won't feel as much impact, but you can kind of choose which way you want to go to get to the big, the big three, as I would call them, on the talent tree. So I'm just going to go from, I guess, from right to left and go through all of the abilities. First, Wild Slashes increases the damage of your Furious Slash by 10% at 3 ranks. There's Thirst for Battle, increases the damage dealt by Bloodthirst by 15%. There's Unstoppable, increases the damage dealt by Rampage by 10%. There's this first one here, which is Rage of the Valahar. Rampage and Execute have a chance of activate Berserking, increasing your attack speed and critical strike by 5% every 1 second for 12 seconds. It doesn't really mention it here, but it actually does stack. So if I can get this to work, I just need to build up my rage here a bit, just so you guys can see what it does here. And I will show you how it's different. And let's see if we can get it. Hopefully we get on this one. And I believe we did. Yes, you can see it right here. Berserking, 15%, 25, 30, 35, 40. It builds up and it stacks up. That is from this talent right here. So at one point you will have, before it goes away, you will have about 55% increase in attack speed and critical strike chance, which is pretty awesome to have. It's one of my favorites of these talents here. We have Uncontrolled Rage. Charge generates an additional 15 rage, so instead of the 20 baseline that it normally has, it's 35 rage, which is a pretty big deal. Battle Scars increases the maximum health by 6% during Enrage. There is Blood Craze. While you are below 20% health, Bloodthirst restores an additional 3% of your health, so that's 8% if you're below 20% health. Unrivaled Strength increases all critical damage you deal by 30% during Battle Cry. Helya's Wrath reduces the cooldown of Battle Cry by 10 seconds. That was the talent I was talking about that reduces Battle Cry's cooldown. Odin's Champion, this is one of the big ones. When you use Rampage, Odin has a chance to declare you a champion of the Valahar for 10 seconds, causing all of your offensive abilities to reduce the cooldown of all your abilities by 3 seconds. Pretty cool. There's Raging Berserker, increases all damage you deal during Enrage by 10%. There's Sense Death, Execute has a 15% chance to make your next execute cost no rage. Focus and Chaos, your auto attacks have no penalty to hit from dual wielding during Enrage. Wrath and Fury increases the damage dealt by Raging Blow by 10%. Death Dealer increases the critical strike chance of Execute by 10%. And then your final big three is going to be Juggernaut. Execute increases damage dealt by Execute by 5% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 99 times. If it's stacking up to 99 times, I'm assuming that I'm assuming that it refreshes every time you use Execute, which makes it really powerful. Otherwise, it is a tooltip bug. Unfortunately, none of these guys are low enough health, so I can start spamming Execute. It would take me a while to get it set it up. But that is something that would be incredibly powerful if you were able to get it all the way up. So that is everything with the War Swords of the Valahar and all of the abilities in for the Fury Warrior in World of Warcraft Legion. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Part 2 will be about the talents and PvP talents. We have the honor talents, as they call them. We have the honor talents, and then we have the PvP talents. I mean the regular talents as well to go through. That will be in the next video. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Tearless out.